I hope you're all well. So thank you for all the nice comments yesterday on the videos that I put out. It's really nice to know that people are still out there wanting to listen. I did think this morning when I woke up, when I said yesterday in one of those videos that they said to me on the 1st of December, it's time to RSVP. I did wonder if that is actually me that they were talking to, telling me that it's time to RSVP, as in go back on YouTube. It might have been. They do. I just wanted to, because I didn't really talk about the reunion process yesterday, but they do still say that it's happening and it's happening now, basically. So that's all I know about that, really. I'm kind of in a state of let go. Um, the end of the process is what I'm going to talk about in this video. So I want to talk about, somebody asked me about the pain, the physical pain as you go through the process. And I just want to talk about that briefly. Um, and I might pull a few cards. I might not. I don't know. I have to see. But basically, where I've arrived at, and that was on January the 1st, is like a feeling, really feeling good place. So just, I can't, I don't know how to explain it. It's like everything's cleared. I just feel really great. I feel really like almost like a normal person, you know, without any kind of twin flame stuff going on in my life or any attachment or anything like that. I don't feel the push and pull of it or um you know, what you want to call it, the transference. And that's kind of does lead into what I want to talk about the pain. Um, because the connection that you have with the person that you're connected to, that you call your twin flame, goes through every single facet of you. And yesterday I talked about how you have, like, you've got the four things, right? There's just four: vibration, emotions, mentality, and physicality. And all those things make up who you are right now, um, whilst you're being human. So you're connected to the one that you're connected to through all of those things. So you have the same vibration. That's what it is. You are the same consciousness split into two physical bodies. That means you're just your consciousness, like I said yesterday, it's oneness. So when we die, we're all one. But it's when we come into the physical experience, we separate off and just appear to have an individual experience. So all that's happening is when you come in and you're doing the twin flame process, is that your consciousness remains connected as it would have done if you were not here in a physical body. It's just that simple. It's not hard for consciousness to do that. It's not a difficult thing. I don't know why everybody thinks it's so like, oh, that can't happen, because of course it can. It's the easiest thing in the world for consciousness to do that. Now, you're connected through, so you are the same vibration, you're the same energy. Vibration, energy, consciousness, it's all the same thing. Vibration, energy, consciousness, soul, spirit, God, source is all the same thing. It's all what you are when you're not in a human body. God, Pleiadian, Galactic Federation, Arcturian, source, spirit, soul, vibration, energy, consciousness is all the same thing. It's all what you are when you're not here in a human body. That's all it is, right? It's all one thing. Anyway, so that's vibration. Um, the emotions. So you know, going through this process, that what initiates. And yesterday when they talked about how it starts as like an instinctual thing, and you're feeling it in your lower levels. You know, you're feeling it in your sexual organs, your sexual what do they call those things that you have down there? Sexual, you know, your bits and pieces, whatever. So you're feeling it all there, and the attachment's felt there to start with. You feel like you maybe known that person forever as well, because that's base level. That's coming from previous incarnations. It's coming from consciousness, because ultimately we do all know each other, because consciousness is all one before it separates off to have its individual experiences. So we all know each other. It's just that mostly we're not meant to come in to feel that and remember that, because the consciousness doesn't ask us to do that. But with twin flames, it is asking you to do that. That's the very purpose of them. To remember that everything is oneness. That's what it's all about. So you're feeling it down there, right? And then it moves up and it moves into your fear spectrum, your solar plexus, and you start to go into fear, basically, of it, because it's illogical, isn't it? It's irrational. It's all sexual driven. It's all like, I feel like I've known this person forever stuff. It's all from beyond. It's from beyond the mind. So you go into like the fear spectrum. Running, when people talk about the running taking place, that's what that's about. Running away from something that is not rational or logical, because it's not coming from the mind. It's coming from base level in terms of closer to vibration than to intellect and rationality and logic and all that, which you only have when you're human. Don't have any intellect, rationality, logic when you're vibration, because you don't need it, because you know everything, and you know it from a base level. You know it from even before feeling. You know it from, it just is, right? That whole thing that you get when you go through this process of, I just know. And I don't know how I know, but I know. It's not coming from the mind, it's coming from base level, it's coming from vibration. Right, and then it moves up as you go through the process, and it comes right into the heart. So it starts to open your heart. That's when people talk about the heart opening experience, because it really, like, it just does push you into that heart level understanding. This, like, people call it the unconditional love phase or whatever, where you just like, I love this person and I don't know why. And it's illogical and it's strange and it's beyond sex. It goes beyond sex now. It goes beyond that. It goes into like an empathic connection, which is actually the empathy that comes there is really clairsentience, because it's feeling that person as that person feels things themselves. So it's not even just understanding, because empathy is like you can put yourself in someone else's shoes and know how they would feel if that happened, if you want to. That's what empathy is. And being really strongly empathic is picking up on that even when you don't really want to, and that's when you need to shield. People talk about having to shield themselves and stuff, because you soak everything up like a sponge and you just feel everything around you, and it can be very triggering. But the connection that twin flames have, it's clairsentience, because it's you feel that person, you feel the life they have, and you feel like the life they had, and the things they went through in this lifetime as a child and everything. You feel it like it's you that went through it. So you feel everything, and that's where it becomes all about unconditional love, because once you're feeling everything as that person felt and you love that person, you see, the opposite of that is when people pick up on somebody going through something in childhood, right? And they would label that as that person having issues. So, they've got this issue because they went through that. And then they'd run a mile from it and they'd be like, I'm not getting involved with that person because that person's got issues. And if they don't sort out their issues, I don't want to be with them. So that's complete lack of love, isn't it? It's like, no, I want something different for myself. So that's all coming from the ego and the mind. I don't want that. That's not good enough for me. I'm going to go and find somebody who has no issues. So that's coming from the ego. It's coming from the mind. It's not heart-based. But of course, with this connection, you go running right towards it, don't you? And right into it. And like, I still want that person. I want them more than anything. I want to love them. I want them to love me. And it's just you're in that heart-based energy, and there's nothing that can pull you away from that. And of course, like just speaking before about the solar plexus and the fear and the fear-mongering, kind of fear-mongering, war-mongering, it's all the same thing. It's all very masculine energy, and that is running away energy. So you've got like this tipping point going on between the fear spectrum, the running away, which is a masculine energy, and the heart-based empathy, clairsentient, wanting to love no matter what energy, that's the feminine energy. You've got that push-pull going on. So that's going on inside of you and inside of them, and one of you is working from a more masculine energy and one is working from a more feminine energy. So one will display more of the masculine quality of that, more of the running, and the other will display more of the feminine. But of course it is transmutable because you share a vibration. So if he stops running or she stops running, you might start running. Because if one of you's not in fear, the other one will go into fear. If one of you is in love, the other one will go into fear. See? So one of you's got, at that phase, so it's all phases, one of you's going to be doing one thing, the running, and the other's going to be in love. But it could switch between the two of you, and does switch between the two, which is why it's also so confounding and complexing, because, why do you want, and also these things that happen aren't rational or logical, and they're beyond your ego. So you don't think, I'm going to run away. You just do. And I remember times when I actually ran away in a kind of blackout, like I would be. We'd have a phone conversation and he'd make a move towards me in a conversation, and I would get frantic. And I'd say, no, we're not doing that. I remember once he asked me, we're going to start dating? And I was like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not going to. And I just went into a panic and completely ran away. So you can go, like, one can do one thing and the other will do another, and that goes on. Because it's all moving, the energy's moving between the spectrums, right? The heart and the fear, and then it moves from the heart into basically the head area. So you go into the throat and the mind. We said that yesterday. And so the process, right, as it moves through, this process that you're going through, moving from the vibration and the heart, and the fear in the heart, and then into the mind. When you're transferring energy between you, the last point in the journey, so just before you're going to hit the reunion, actual physical reunion, because it goes vibration, heart, mind, physicality, right? So the mind is the last connection point, basically. So when you reach the stage of this transference process and this merging process that the whole twin flame story is, right? This sharing of vibration and coming into an understanding that you're sharing a vibration, because it's what it's all about. You come into an understanding. Let's just add that when you get into this heart phase and it's all about clairsentience and feeling that other person as though they're yourself, which is a step beyond empathy, that is oneness. So you'll return to like the understanding and the feeling that is beyond being human. That oneness is what we are when we're consciousness. That all feeling each other. Although you don't really have emotions when you're consciousness, but the Pleiadian plan, the reason twin flames have incarnated, is to return us to a state of vibrational oneness in a human framework, so that we all feel each other and we all connected through the mind and consciousness again, as we are in consciousness. That's the evolution again. That's what it is. It's the evolution of humankind into a state of oneness. And so that's when you start feeling that for that other person, that clairsentience, is when you start to understand that we're all one. Because if you can feel like that, if you can feel another person like they're yourself, then there is no barrier to you understanding we're all one. Even if it's just the one person you can feel. The miracle of feeling that one person like they're yourself, their whole history, their whole, everything inside of them, how they feel about themselves. You even start to understand, as you move up into the thinking framework, you're understanding how they think about themselves, that creates how they feel about themselves, right? Because they feel, they don't feel good about themselves, right? It's because they think low thoughts about themselves. They think that they're not good enough. They think ashamed. They think that they should be ashamed of themselves. They think that everybody doesn't like them. All this kind of stuff. So you're starting to read their thoughts as well in that kind of way, and how that feeds into their feelings. So it's just that connection that's bringing everybody back to oneness, eventually, because this is the evolution process of it. That's what twin flames are: the evolution of human consciousness, or consciousness in human form. And but once you get up into the mind, and it's the last part to clear, so just to say, right, when you know you're worrying a lot, when you've gone beyond like the kind of purging, because you go beyond this is what happened with me. I went beyond purging. So, I mean, I've had a lot of other stuff come in anyway. I've had a lot of stuff about law of attraction that I've been told that I've got to apply to like everything and teach and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little bit different if you've not had all that stuff come in. But you go beyond the purging, right? So the transference that is, this is a transference that they go through, back from one to the other. The purge is transference, you know that. So when you're feeling all like angry and resentful and hateful and sad, or feeling loss and grief and all that kind of stuff, and about that connection, that is the connected energy making you do that. So their ego and them running away will make you feel like that. So it can come in many ways. Like I say, you could feel sadness and loss. You could feel hopeless. You could feel anger and resentment. I mean, the amount of times I've felt anger and resentment in the past, and like been just screaming and shouting, just let me go. You know, I don't want to go through this anymore. I'm so sick of this. That can be the purge. And towards the end of the process, I found that was really the purge. It was more of a like kind of annoyance that I was purging than a purge itself. It ceased being about him and started being about the purge itself. And that was the end of the purge process. And then after that, you're working in the mind, basically. So where you're working then is you're clearing the mind. So the last barrier to union, if you want to call it that, although I know it's a bit of negative connotation, but to help you understand that it's the final location is the mind. So when you're clearing worry, massive amounts of worry and fear, and when you feel like you know you shouldn't be in fear because you know you've cleared your fear, because what you'll be clearing is their fear. Or you know that you have no need to worry because you understand the law of attraction and you understand how opposing worry is to working with the law of attraction and being in a feeling good place. Then you're no longer working with your own fear and worry, you're only working with their fear and worry. So that's how it's the last place, because as you clear through this whole journey for them, right? The feminine, the one working from the feminine, and you'll be the one watching this because only the feminine examples watch the videos. So it's got nothing about gender or sex. It's about the energy. You clear through your whole spectrum, right? You clear through your vibration, you clear through your fear, you clear through your heart, you clear through your vocality, your throat, you clear up into your head. You clear through your own mind, you clear through any resistance inside of you to what you've gone through. And that's when you finally let go, when you clear through all the resistance inside you to what you've gone through, including up to the point of, I no longer really care about any of this. I'm no longer interested in being a twin flame or hearing about twin flames or knowing about twin flames. I know that, and it's not got anything to do with, well, I'm not that and I just don't believe in it anymore. It's just, I know I'm that. I get it. I understand I'm that, but I'm done. I'm done now. I'm moving on. I need to get on. I need to get moving in a new direction. All this kind of feeling that will come in for you. Like I call it the get up and go feeling. They also, when they talk to me, they call it the gung ho feeling. It's like, I just want to get on now. Let's just get on. And this is a long time ago, before I went away and stopped putting videos out. I talked about you get your free will returned, and this is all part of that, having a free will returned. It's like, now I want to do something with my life. I want to make some decisions from my ego, from my willpower. I want my authority back over my life. It's all that stuff as well. Everything that you go through in this is not a smooth journey from A to B. It's a spiraling journey. So you'll never arrive in one energy and then be there in the last phase over completely straight away. You arrive in the new energy. So as you go through the journey, you're going to go through the lower part of the spectrum, sex, past, if you want to call it karma, history, past lives, clearing mess up there, you're going to arrive in fear, and what is fear, and how does it feel in the physical body, and how does that make people run away from love? And then you go back into the past again, and the sex and all that. So you go back and forth maybe between those. You'll clear the past. Even you could then move up into the heart, start being in that heart energy, that highly empathic, clairsentient energy, residing there for a lot of the time, but still slipping back down into the fear, because you're connected to one other, you see, so you're not on your own. So you've got to go back down and clear it out for them as you're working through your own. If it was, like they said yesterday, if it was you on your own, you can move swiftly through the base to the fear, to the heart, to the head, to the crown. But you're not. You're connected to another and you're clearing. So you're going to be not slipping back down, dropping back down. Meant to be dropping back down, have to go back down. That's part of the process, to go back down. Nothing wrong with going back down. To clear out for the other one. To also commune with them, possibly also friends, relatives, other soulmates you're communing with on those lower levels. To clear out debris that is operating against evolution, that's operating against being in, start with the high heart, move up to the head, and eventually into all-knowing claircognizance, which is crown chakra energy, which is all-knowing. To just put one label on it, all-knowing energy. And when you know all there is, you know that everything's all one again, and that's all you need to know. And then it's a let go in that energy, because you let go of everything that isn't that. So yeah, you're dropping back down to spiral. You spiral through the journey. You don't go in a straight straight line, straight course of action. So it's a bit like, I like to think of it as a board game or a video game. I play video games, currently playing Crash Bandicoot, and I feel that it's very much like Crash Bandicoot actually, because he has to go up and down levels to keep collecting gems and relics and stuff, and you'll find yourself on the 5th level, then you've got to go right back to the 1st again to clear up a mess there with Dr. Neocortex, who's trying to defeat the world. So yeah, so then we're talking about the head. So that's really what I wanted to talk about, is the head. But just to explain that you get there and you just don't just stay there, basically. You're going to ask to be dropped back down again and clear up a mess in level 1 again at some points. Anyway, but once you get into the head and you start to work with that head energy alone, right, which is the ego, so it's the mind, it's the thinking, and ultimately to define that is that all thinking is ego. So all thinking is the furthest thing you can get from pure vibration and harmony. So to be aware that you could be having a really good thought 1 minute that's getting you in a really good feeling place, and the next minute your mind could run away with itself and you could be having a really fearful thought or a really worrisome thought and take you right out of your feeling good place. So the law of attraction, the working with the law of attraction, which helps you get into your good feeling place, is a very useful tool for understanding how to get into a feeling good place, as taught by Esther Hicks with the help of the Abrahams, right? So that's helpful for the individual to get into a feeling good place. When you're connected to one other in the twin flame way, you have an extra job to do, because you have to clear their mind for them. So you're going to get their worry coming through you, which can sometimes take you off guard. So it can, if you're not in awareness constantly that you share the mind field with somebody else, you can have that come in and you can think it is just you. You can be worrying and you can not even notice that it's somebody else's mind that you're attached to that's making you worry. So you can just be randomly worrying about things without any, you see, it's all about controlling your mind. and bringing yourself into a place of awareness what the mind is doing, because that will help you clear the other person's worry that they're bringing you, so that you eventually are both cleared in the head. And when you're both cleared in the head, then you will move into the physical reunion, because the next thing after the mind is the physical reunion. So that's inevitable, that's going to come next. And you can't really move into the physical reunion until you've cleared through the mind, and you've, you could say, got to grips with it. But it's a very kind of, because one thing is you don't want to get to grips with it with logic and rationale, because that's also ego. So you don't want to think around your thoughts. You need to be letting go of the thoughts, if you see what I mean. Because letting go of the thoughts is closer to vibration. So you just don't want to be thinking at all. And that is all, that's where they want you to be. That's where your guides want to be, not thinking at all. So you might find when you get into this last phase that is about the mind, that you're really guided to do lots of napping and resting and sleeping, drinking wine. For a very large part of last year, I was guided to be drinking wine every day, and I'd have 2 glasses, and then I'd lie down and go to sleep for a couple of hours, because that's what I was guided to do. And that's about releasing resistance. So his mind, and with his worry and his stress that I'm getting coming through me, and just having worry, how it feels in the physical body, is just like a really sour feeling. It's like a dark feeling. It feels like things aren't right. It's not a feel-good feeling. It just feels like something's off. There were days when I'd be walking around and be like, what is it? What's wrong? Something's not right. I don't feel right. And they'd be like, oh, that's because it's him. It's not me. And now I've just got to stop. Just feel better, let go, feel better. Don't worry. Don't worry about what it is that you feel like you should be worried about, because you're feeling off, because it's coming from him, you see. So that's basically what they would say to me. So then I'd be like, all right, let's either, if I was able to, I'd start to put music on, dance around, skip around, sing. That all gets me in vibration, high vibration. Start to get into cooking a little bit, anything creative. I spent a whole month like a rabid animal making a quilt, completely obsessed with this quilt that I made, out in the garden, doing the garden, all this kind of stuff, anything that involves like getting into a better vibration. And also then taking myself out, because they talk about that they were talking about take yourself offline, not meaning get off the internet, but meaning take yourself out of being human, take yourself out of the mind. When you go offline as a human, it's like flatline, right? You go to sleep, you're no longer in your physical body, you're no longer being human, you go back to source. Go back to just vibration, and it clears everything. So that's why they were saying that. So I did a lot of that earlier this year, just so you know. And now it's kind of cleared through, and now you see, and it comes back in and it goes out. So this awareness of knowing when you're worrying will go in and out. So you can have a day when you like, or you can have a moment, not a day, a moment where you're worrying, and you can be like, I'm not going to worry because there's worry. I'm not going to worry because that's what I don't need to be doing, is worrying. And like I said, because the mind is the furthest thing away from vibration, so it's the furthest thing away from pure knowing. It's the closest thing to it. It's the ego, so it's the closest thing to like wanting things to be different, wanting things to change, trying to think through things, right? Instead of letting go of things. So I'd have days when I was like, right, I need to get out of here. Where can I go and live? And I'd go online and I'd be looking at places to live in other parts of the country. And I'd be in that energy, and I knew that wasn't the right place to be, because I was trying to think my way out of a situation that I'm never going to be allowed to think myself out of, because the whole thing is about letting go of that. And then when you let go, what comes in is what's meant to be. So I'd go through the back and forth of that a little bit towards the end of last year, and other things as well, kind of in that spectrum of trying to change my life. And again, that's like also corresponding to this feeling of like having the willpower back, because when you get your willpower returned, right, and you're like your free will basically, the feeling of having that makes you want to do these things and move on, and that's the get up and go kind of energy. But it's like you are in a process that you're connected to somebody, so you can't actually move on until that process is finished, and then you will move on in a physical way once it's all returned to the physical body and you've returned into a physical relationship, if you like to call it a relationship, which is not really getting it what it is, but we'll just use that word anyway. So yeah, and then right at the end of the process is just not worrying at all, and being in that. That's why it's really important to understand the law of attraction, because you need to understand for yourself how to not worry, and there's the steps that you can take to get yourself out of worrying. Because even though you're working in a process, you're connected to somebody else, you still, like say, you have your free will returned. Your free will needs to be used for using the law of attraction. See? That's the first thing they return you for, is to use the law of attraction on how you operate as a human being. So the only things now that I'm doing to stop myself worrying or thinking, I have like a movie that plays in the front, I don't know what they call it, the frontal cerebrum of my brain, like right behind my eyes. And it's pictures of holiday beaches that I just flash through. It's pictures of anything that I would like in my life, and I won't go into like my personal recommendations because you might find them shocking or whatever, but that's what I flick through. It's just like flicking through a magazine of images. There's nothing that I have to do more than that. It's not like oh god, let's sit down and start to create some law of attraction, images, because that can feel really, for me it felt really hard work. It's just literally pictures that you might see in magazines of cruises and beaches and hot weather and sunshine and me frolicking on a beach and that kind of stuff. Mainly, there's some other things as well. Me having a little dog. Anyway, I won't go into it. So that's what I have playing on the show reel that I just flip through, and it's almost like a blocking out of thought that it corresponds to. I'm doing that, and I'm shutting down my thinking faculty, so I'm not the thoughts might be waving to me, like from over there, hey, come and think about me, come and think about this thing over here, and I just ignore it and I flip through my pictures. If I need to, I go to sleep. If it's too strong, if the thoughts are calling too strongly, there's a lot of me walking around the house now, and I just don't. I went through a huge amount of fear last year, which was to do with slugs. They were coming in the house. I kept bringing them in. There was one day I had to get up super early for something, and I got up. I knew this was going to happen, right? It's so funny. I'll tell you this, right? So I had it had been about a month and I hadn't seen a slug in the house, or a bug for that matter. And every morning I'd come down and I'd look around the house for them and look at the skirting boards to see if there was any like little sluggy trails or any bugs. And I'd go in the front room and I'd look around and I'd say, so are we on our own here today? Talking to the consciousness, and there'd be nothing there. Anyway, I had to get up really early one morning. And I came down and I knew this was going to happen. I knew. I walked into the kitchen, and on the kitchen, the day before I came down and I found some sluggy trails. That's why I knew. And I found some sluggy trails, and I was looking at them, and I was looking because I think they're beautiful. I do think they're beautiful, the patterns they make. I'm kind of mesmerised by them when I look at them. But of course, I don't want them in a house, And so I was like, some little Mr. Magoo's getting in here. And I went to bed that night, and it was the next day I had to get up really early, coincidentally. So I did get a bit of preparation in. And I came down and I walked into the kitchen, and he was sat there right on the kitchen counter, right where I put my cup of coffee in the morning. He was just sat there with his head up, this Mr. Magoo, this slug. And he was a leopard slug, and he was very handsome, because they can be very beautiful. And I just laughed out loud, like the biggest laugh ever, because obviously I knew he was going to be there. And the fact that he was right where my coffee cup goes, like right where I could see him straight away, no having to like look in corners or anything. It was so, it was like, yeah, okay, I brought him. I know I brought him to see if I'd still be scared of him. And of course, the first thing I did was laugh. And then I picked him up with the kitchen tongs and put him outside. But so that was that. That's that now with them. And after that, I had to go through this process of manning up. So literally walking around the house going, right, if I see one, I'm in charge. I'm just going to get him. I'm going to put him outside. I'm not having it anymore. I'm not going to be scared of them. There's nothing to be scared of. And I'm stronger than them. I'm bigger than them. And then that's it. And they've gone. So that was about manning up against that fear, you see, because it's all like a shared thing that you go through. So that would have been his fear. And me manning up against a fear is about him overcoming fear. So we got to that at the end of the year. And that's the end of that fear. And there's no fear now. And like I said, I was just going to say, I sometimes notice myself trying, my gaze trying to go down again to the skirting boards in the house. And I just put it straight back up. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. We're getting on with it. We're getting on with life now. We're not going to be afraid of anything. So this is all the shared connection, right, that comes in. But it's all in the head because it's all about the worry. Because there ain't no fear of like being there's fear before, right? That's just about him and you together. But this fear that comes, it's like the fear comes to you for you to clear the fear for them, the one that you're connected to, so they can come out of fear completely. So what else was I going to say? So there's that, and then this like being in the just refusing to be in the head and worry really, and refusing to take it on board is the last thing. It's the final thing, because then of course it can all move forward into a physical manifestation of what it is, of the whole thing. So what I found really important as well is that, and I only found this out right at the end of the journey, like last month, fully, again, back and forth on it, and then fully integrated the understanding last month, fully integrated. So it's my only program. You see all these things as programs, right? And you could be running an old program. It's like trying to switch over from Mac OS High Sierra to Mac OS Mountain View, or whatever they call them. You can be running your old program alongside your new program for a little while. So my old program would have been, say, being angry about the state of my life, whilst also being in higher self and being able to read energy. And now my old program is completely deleted, and I'm only running the new program, the updated, up-leveled, evolved program of being in higher self. So seeing everything from that understanding of everything is as it's meant to be. Everything comes to you because it has to. Everything has a reason that it comes to you. And that might sound cliche, but it does, because you bring it yourself, partly by law of attraction. But on this story that you're running through in this lifetime as twin flame is for the connection itself as well. So everything comes for that and for you, including the worry that you're clearing for them, and you're clearing for the worry spectrum, not just because of them, because you're going to go into a romantic relationship, but because you're here to clear through the program of worry itself, because the program of worry is dark energy. So this thing that I noticed the end of last month that finally cleared was how it feels to feel worried. Because worrying, yeah, it's a thought. You can be worried about this, that, or this, but the feeling of worry and how it feels in the physical body, the heaviness, the weight of it, because it's a really heavy feeling. It's a really low energy. It's really like burdensome. It feels like you're carrying a burden, and that's gone completely. So it's been removed. That program ceased running. So just to be aware that you feel the worry in your physical body. So notice that, and notice yourself carrying that heaviness that's the worry, right? And then look to like releasing that from your physical body by not worrying, and see how the two things are connected. Because if you worry less, you will notice you feel better. Not only emotionally, but your physical body will feel better. Because like they say, we're moving through from the head, the last stage, into the physical body. The other thing that somebody asked me a question was about the pain on the journey. So that's the thing as well, because as you move through the head, I just want to explain that, as you move through the head and the thinking framework of being human, and you let go of the thoughts and you let go of the worry, you let go of the need to think it through, you let go of the need to overthink, which there's no overthinking, there's just thinking. All thinking is overthinking. The only faculty you need is that creative visualization, and like I say, you can flick through pictures. It doesn't have to be elaborate. This is clearing through the dark spectrum, right? This is what it is. You move to a place of what feels better inside your physical body and your emotions, because you are operating in accordance of the law of attraction with the thought itself. And the thought, like we say, it's ego. Ego is negativity, and ego is worry and pain and dark heaviness. So what was I going to say? Right, so to just talk about the physical, like it moves through the head to the physical, right, in you and also in the connection. So as you move, and let me just write this down. You've got single person. Let's do it this way. Can you see? I need to just make sure this is running. You've got a single person here. Is my pen not? Yeah, it's going to work. A single person. And then you've got the one that you're connected to there. Right, and then we said yesterday, right, so you've got the base level, you've got sexual level, you've got the fear level, you've got the heart level, you've got the throat there, head, crown. Crown is beyond. It might reside, they say it resides there, like your halo, right? That's the crown. However, it's consciousness, it's vibration, so it's here, it's above the human level. So as you move through, if you were just doing singular journey, like they said, you just move through, you're awakening, right? Your rise into higher consciousness, into this, would just be bish bosh, all the way up. And you would feel that through your physical body as well. So when you're coming into the heart, right, and you're feeling all that heart energy, whether you're going through this as individual, so just for now, let's say stay individual, on an individual trajectory, you'll feel heart expansion and emotion. And with that, there's a lot of emotional pain. Because what comes through there is emotional pain, it really takes precedence over what is physical pain. You might have physical aches and pains as well. In fact, you will, because you're clearing. When you clear, you're clearing through your physical body as well as your everything else. But because this emotional pain is stronger, it's really like takes the whole emphasis is here, right? So you're much more concerned with what is the emotional, whether that's about what you went through as a kid, or your past relationships, or being alone, or whatever it is, that takes precedence, that emotional level. So you're not really paying attention to your physical aches and pains, apart from they get on your nerves. And you wish they weren't there, obviously, because, the quote might be, well, I'm feeling so bad anyway, and I'm going through so much emotional pain. Why do I have to have this physical stuff as well? It's kind of a like, God, if it wasn't, if I didn't, and I've got all this emotional stuff and I've got physical stuff as well. So it's just like an added burden, right, that you feel, but you don't pay much more attention to it than that. But anyway, you move into the head, we'll go back to them being connected. That would apply, right, if you're here with the connection or not, actually. But, right, then you move into the head. When you're clearing this journey between two, you move into the head of yourself, right? And understanding law of attraction. My pen has completely finished, so maybe I'm not meant to be doing this. You're working on your own worry and fear spectrum and clearing that, because that goes without saying. You're doing that so that you can manifest, so that once you come back into having willpower and you finish this journey, you're able to manifest through the willpower, through like what directing your willpower towards law of attraction, like we just said, right? And then you are clearing for them as well in the head, right? So it's all going on in the head. Where the resistance lies, therefore, is in the head. That's where it's now lying, because wherever you are on the journey is where the resistance lies. So if you're in the emotions and the fear down here, that's where the resistance is. That's why you have the running away, or the opposite of that. One person running, the other being in the essence of full-on, complete and utter love. And when you move into the head, you are going to be clearing their fear and their worry in the head, right? So basically, the resistance then is going to be in the head, but it's still in the physical body, because until you clear right through the head and you arrive back at what is clear, pure consciousness, you're still going to feel it in the physical body. Because the head is the last place, I do need to get a pen. Just bear with me. Because the head is the last place that you'll be clearing inside the brain, it means that the physical symptoms are going to be on their way to being resolved. However, they don't get completely resolved until you end this process of arriving in higher consciousness, which is the evolution, both of you, into higher consciousness. That's the evolution of the human. So that goes beyond just like telepathy or the clairsentience that you feel in the heart. It comes in, what that is both working from a much higher vibration in everyday life, a much higher vibration in your human existence, which is why you can't really call it relationship that you come into, because it's not going to be like anyone. People will look at you funny, and they will pull a funny face, and they will say, "What, you live like that together?" Oh, and they'll think you're not normal. So just understand that, right? It's not going to be like other people's, which is why when you clear as well, you're clearing all this stuff, which is about all the regular relationship stuff that you go through, the thoughts of that you clear, because you ain't going to have that. So you've got to clear all that. So you clear all that through. Anyway, so you arrive into this higher vibration, this higher consciousness state, pair of you, and then from beyond there it is physical reunion. So you return to physical bodies. The last healing and clearing of the physical body will manifest when there is a physical connection takes place. So you will carry in your physical body the debris, it's like debris of this process, which is in the form of aches and pains that may have started. They could have started as early as childhood when you came into physical body. They could have started as you began going through the process. It could have multiplied and grown as you began your initiation here at base level with this connection, and they could have increased through. So eventually when you come into the head, the emotional pain is no longer the precedent. It is it could be the worry about your physical pain. It could just be that you notice the physical pain more in your body, and it will increase, possibly around the head. Things like sinuses, ear infections, blocked ears, eczema in the ears, migraine. I went through migraine, started in 2017, never had a migraine before that. They stopped for a very long time, and I had one last week, and that's the first one I've had for about 2 years. And I had to revisit that. The physical pain in the head clears what's going on in their head. There's a lot more around that as well. I've had to clear physical pain all through my body that is about his body. But I'm putting out the video about food, and I mentioned that in there a bit more. The last thing I've got is started to get last year blocked ears, swollen inside ears and eczema inside ears. And I'd never had that before in my life. And I have that now. So you see it moves up through the head. So however long you have that for is however long you're clearing the head for, really. So understanding law of attraction, that's how important it is, because you cannot clear somebody else's worry spectrum if you haven't cleared your own. So you need to understand how to clear your own worry, and you can only do that through law of attraction. That's where you go to Esther Hicks and you start to listen to her talk about that. The Abrahams talk about that. And that'll get you through that. And then you'll be able to clear that worry for this person that you're connected to, because you'll understand how to clear worry. So when it comes to you, you'll be able to instantly clear it. What else do I want to say? To talk about more about the physical pain. Oh yes, because somebody wanted to know about the physical pain, and she said it was getting worse, and it does get worse. This whole physical reunion that takes place, this is a birth, right? It's rebirth. That's what they call it, rebirth. So it's rebirth of what was taken away from you or what you haven't had because you weren't ready to experience it. It's just rebirth. The feminine, the one that's working from the feminine perspective, goes through birth, therefore. So you go through a lot of pain because birth is pain. So that pain that you feel in your physical body, and it can come in many and varied ways, is meant to be, because it's part of the birthing process. It's connected to the masculine and it's bringing them forward. It's not, the whole thing we talk about the head and the clearing the worry, there's that. But this birthing process is something different altogether. This is almost like it is clearing resistance on a... It's clearing resistance on a much more whole level, I would say. Like, because you will clear through each element up, up to the head and through the head. But the birthing pains that I've experienced, for example, the food video I've got to put out, there's something about this. I got really, really ill for 3 days in bed with dysentery, excruciating stomach pains. And I knew I wasn't worried about it, even though I was not able to eat for 3 days, because it was birth. It was birthing, and it just felt like I was giving birth, lying there, actually, not be able to move, just clutching my stomach, just completely doubled up. So, and it's clear it's the birth on a much more whole level. So it's not connected to any individual kind of head, heart, or fear or anything like that. It is just the birthing process, clearing energy. Basically, clearing massive amounts of energy. What else was I going to say? That's all I can tell you about that. I just know it's that. So any extreme pain that you go through, you can know that it's connected to your coming rebirth, because it's just that the feminine has to go through birth. It's as simple as that. So you'll go through pains that are like birth, as strong as that. I don't know if everybody's going to get them in their stomach like I did, like actual birth. But that's how strong the pain has to be in a physical body. It has to be like, how painful it must be it's painful to give birth, isn't it? So there you go. There's that. So that's what that's about. And you'll find pain will come to you in strange and unusual ways, just so that you can experience the pain. So again, it's like, it's nothing to worry about. It's just, oh, here it comes again, the pain. Because the pain is kind of prompting this one over here to take action. The pain is prompting them to make a move. It's prompting them to reach out and to connect again, to be reborn. You are birthing the union through your physical body, as much as you are through every other part of your experience. See? So that's why it's got to come through the feeling in the physical body as well. Makes sense? That's why. So there's that. And then you get to the rebirth, which is into the physical reunion. However, whatever it is that you've had experience going on, physical pain again, to talk about physical pain, things like, I know somebody's out there and she's got eczema in her ears as well, and people like, it's the little niggly things like that. So for me, it's now my ears, a hot flashes still, and I know that should be over if that was menopause, because that's been years now. Hot flashes, my ears, my sinuses flaring up, and being blocked. I get that as well. Just lately, my elbow. That's part of the birthing pain, though, so it's not a niggly thing. That's like I have to have some pain going on. So at the moment, it's my elbow that just hurts for absolutely no reason. So that's when you get that, you're closer to the physical reunion. So it's like, okay, that's what that is. Let's forget about that. But anyway, these little niggly things, see, full healing takes place once you come into physical union. That's when the full healing takes place. I was going to mention this in the food thing, but I'm going to say it now because it helps to tie into this, right? To understand this, how the full healing takes place and how you heal it, because it is a healing journey. You don't go through all this shit for nothing, right? It is for humankind and the evolution of humankind, but the fact is that you're here and you're in a physical body and you're going to live for a long time. And what I won't mention here, and I'll go into in the food, is the longevity, because that's something they said direct. I get an amount of Claire audience, and this is one of the words they said, longevity. So that's a long life. And some of you have had readings from me, and I know that some of the things that I don't remember everything about readings that I do. A lot of it I don't remember, but this I remember is telling these people they were going to become young again when they reunited, and I saw them young again. And I remember thinking, wow, that's really good. So, so they said it now, longevity, and that's in that video that I'm going to put out. Anyway, the full healing takes place when you reunite in the physical. So what I was going to say about this is years ago. So I have problems with my stomach and have had done since childhood. I get IBS symptoms, bloating, that kind of stuff. And it was the first time I met my twin, and it was a one night stand. I say that under my breath in case anybody's listening. And we were in bed, and it was the next day, and he just reached out and he put his hand on my stomach, and then he looked at me, and he stayed like that for quite a while, so long that I had to even say, what's going on with your hand on my stomach, kind of a thing. It was just like pressing it, just touching it. That's all he was, just touching my stomach. And then he just pulled it away, and a short while after that, he clutched his own stomach and he went, oh, my stomach, and he had to go to sleep. And he went to sleep, and I got up and I walked around and started having my day, and I was absolutely fine, and I didn't feel anything going on in my stomach that day. And normally I'd eaten, because it's normally as soon as I put food in my stomach, I will start to swell and bloat and be in pain. Any kind of food, glass of water, it doesn't matter. I've had that, and I'll explain that in this food video. But it just went away. So he healed me that day. And when you come into physical contact, of course, you do heal each other. And that's part of this drive to be together. Because the drive to be together, that is for the evolution of humankind. That's the work that you're here for, to be coming into higher consciousness and existing from higher consciousness, setting a precedent energetically that consciousness can follow, to bring everybody into that higher vibration whilst existing in a physical body, to feel the oneness of connection and work from that understanding whilst being in a human body. Your evolution that you push through, right, for the humankind, you're pushing through as well for yourselves what is the healing that comes from that state of oneness, right, and that drive There's got to be this thing that drives you through this process, because you can't walk away from it. And every time I say this, I just think about all those videos that are out there that people put out, and they're putting them out from an egoic level. They don't work from energy. They work, maybe they're psychologists. I keep seeing them, they crop up in my feed. And they're only working from a logical, rational perspective. And they talk about how you just walk away from it. You just let it go. You're obsessed. You're crazy to be this twin flame thing's crazy. You just need to leave it alone. Forget about it. It's just forget about that person that you're obsessed by. But that's not what this is. And they can't understand energy, so they don't understand the higher perspective of it. Which, fair enough. But I just sometimes think we'll just stop talking about it because you don't know what you're talking about. This is not like a human. This is not a lower level relationship. This is not a obsession or a compulsion or whatever. This is not something that is that you have any control over. It's a process that you come through. It's an energetic process, and it's the drive, you see, is for the healing that you get at the end of it. So it's not because you think you come in right and you go through this and you think the drive is, first of all, to find out and understand, why do I feel this way about this person? That perhaps is the level they're working from with those videos, where they're saying, stop trying to work out why you feel this way about this person, but this is what you first feel, right? The sexual thing, you're feeling that, and you can't, and that's overtakes you, and it becomes everything. It becomes all consuming, right? The sexual thing. But it has to be, because it wouldn't push you through the process if it wasn't. The next thing, you're coming into the fear. You're clearing fear, that's all. And then you're coming into the emotions, and that's the heart opening. And of course you would have to go through that, because that's the process. And then you come up and you come into the head, and you're clearing through the worry program. You're clearing through the dark and the negative energy that surrounds the human race, that tells them that everything is always wrong. You are human, therefore you think. You are human, therefore you must worry. You must worry about sex, death, taxes. You must worry about everything. If it is moving, worry about it. If you can catch a flicker of it out the corner of your eye, worry about it. If you are not worrying about anything right now, can you go online and find something to worry about? Can you therefore you will draw to you everything you worry about. And that's what the dark spectrum is. You bring everything you worry to you, and you multiply it. And you clear through that, right? And you come into a place of clarity and understanding around the actual endeavour, the activity of worrying, and how futile that worry is, because all it'll ever bring you is more worry. And then you move up into what is higher consciousness, because higher consciousness is only, if you wanted to bring it down to the head of a pin, is only, higher consciousness is only what lies beyond worry, fear, debilitating emotions, you could say as well. It's higher consciousness is going beyond trying to understand why you're here. You don't need to, it's going beyond trying to rationalize why you're here, we should say. Human will try and rationalize everything about being here, right, and bring it down into a human understanding. But higher consciousness is going beyond that human understanding to just understanding that everything is what it is. Consciousness is consciousness. Consciousness isn't anything tangible or matter. Consciousness is vibration. That's why we say right at the beginning, when this comes into being, this energy in two people, that it is simple. Because the human will try and complicate it and bring it into a human understanding. Consciousness is pure. Consciousness is able to do whatever it wants. It's beyond human understanding. If that helps at all to understand it that way, because that's what it is. And then pushing through, right into the higher consciousness, which is kind of a state of let go of trying to having to work things out, let go of the worry, feeling the birthing pains that are coming through the physical body as you start to be returned to the physical dimension. So that's coming in there for the feminine. And then coming into the physical reunion where the two are brought back together. And the drive is for the healing that takes place when the two come together. And you might not consciously know that you're doing that, coming together for the healing that takes place when the two comes together. But that is what you're doing. That is what the push is all about, that gets you there. The drive to get there. What was I going to say about that's it. It's not that, right, the healing, it's not that you're split, because people will be, oh, it's because you're split into two. No, it's not. That's not what it is. The healing is the resistance. It's the resistance of being apart that causes the pains and the things like the blocked ears and the eczema and all those little niggly things. It's the resistance. So yeah, it is being apart, but it's the resistance of coming towards each other that causes that stuff, because it's always resistance that causes illness. So it's not that you were split down here, because you were meant to be split down here. That's why there's nothing wrong. You know, people be like, oh, it's wrong to, you know, separation, being in separation as a twin flame, there's something wrong there, you're blocked. You know, you've got to call on all these gods for healing. You've got to like reach outside of yourself and get some kind of snake oil and fix it because it's wrong. No, it's not wrong. It's entirely right that you're split because you have to go through this process, because you couldn't go through the process if you were just together, right? But the resistance that comes up because of the process causes the physical issues, because of course it will, but that's just a side effect of the process. It doesn't mean the process is wrong. And then it's a side effect. You're here to do a job. It's not a job that's easy. It's not a job that it's an evolution, you know, so things are a work in progress. Perhaps in the future there won't be resistance, it will be a smoother transition. But as you're a forerunner of a process, then you are a work in progress. You are almost an experiment. In fact, you are an experiment in energy and its ability to be one in physical form. So it's the resistance, you see, that causes these things. But because you do push through and you will come into this physical rebirth, as soon as you do and you connect again, then all is healed. All is healed. And in fact, as you're in the head and you start to, you might have noticed this, a lot of you might have noticed this, you start to be told stuff or be directed, this is where the food comes in, into understanding more that will heal. And that is not just, that's not for you too, it's because you're here to, as an evolution of humanity. So you're here to work from beyond the dark programs that run through humanity. I'm going to go into that video now and talk about that, because that's a whole different thing. So that's it. That's why the pain is, basically, and a lot of other stuff. So that's that video. I'm going to be putting a few out, I think. And I've had a few bookings already from people for videos and stuff. Just so you know, I'm going to get to them. They'll be done by the end of the week, because I'm going to put a few of these out. So just, you know, I'm not like sidelining you. It's all going to be done by the end of the week. And that's the normal turnaround for things. All right. Lots of love. Take care. Bye.